Hello everyone, Jeff Siegel here, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what the hell do I actually do? So it might be kind of confusing because you know that I'm a health coach or maybe a wellness coach, but what exactly does that mean? Because at the end of the day, what I do is actually kind of complicated and it's not always so clear that what you're going to get if you come and you work with me. So let me give you an example. All right. Let's say you've decided that the way you've been taking care of your body is not going to get you where you want to go. You recognize that maybe you've been kind of lacking on your diet, not taking care of your sleep, your exercise is all over the place or perhaps non existent, and you're dealing with some body problems, digestive issues, health things. Just generally, your body is not working for you, it's working against you. And so you come to me and you say, Jeff, all right, I need your help. All right, my body is working against me and I want to change things because I want to be healthier, because I want to have more energy, I want to have more confidence, and I want to feel like I'm doing the things for my body that are actually going to sustain me in the long run. And I say, great, where do we start? All right, and so this represents principle number one, right, which is that you are competent, capable, and ultimately the expert in your own lifestyle. All right, you need to be the one pressing on the gas. I'm just going to be over here helping steer the car. So I'm going to ask you, what is that one thing, right? If you were to change one thing right now about your lifestyle that you think would have the biggest impact in improving your health and your well-being. And so let's say you think about it for a moment, you come back to me and you say, you know what? That one thing that I really like to work on is my sleep. And I say, fantastic, because you know what? Sleep is probably the most important thing to master first, right? Now, mark my word on this. All right, maybe I'll change my mind, 10 years from now, but I'm gonna say right now, right, if you don't get your sleep right, everything else is also gonna be out of whack. So I love starting with sleep. But of course, now if we're dealing with sleep, we actually need to deal with all these other lifestyle factors. And this is where this holistic, right, mind and body coaching model really comes into play. So we start talking about sleep, and I ask you, say, hey, so what sort of things have you tried that have been helpful with your sleep? And so you give me some of the basic good sleep hygiene practices. You've already cut out any sort of, LED or excess light from your bedroom. You've got those blackout curtains on. You've cranked down the temperature so it's a little bit cooler at night, right? You've got a bed that's comfortable. You've got a room that's as quiet as it can be. All right, so you've done some of those basic things. So then I start asking some more questions about, okay, so, what else maybe has been kind of helpful for you? And you say, well, sometimes I take a little melatonin and that can be kind of helpful. Sometimes I try, meditating and, sometimes that helps, sometimes that doesn't help. And so I say, okay, pause here. Some good ideas. Let's dig in a little bit more, right? Melatonin, great supplement, all right, but kind of a band-aid. Ultimately, what I'm trying to do is always try to move upstream. I want to figure out what is the most upstream, what is the root cause of the sleeping issues, right? So maybe melatonin disruption is part of it, but that's more on the symptom end, right? Because guess what? What disrupts melatonin? Well, some of it is artificial light, all right? And we've talked about maybe eliminating the light at night, but another thing we can do is make sure that you're getting enough sunlight during the day. Right, specifically in the morning and in the evening can help set your circadian rhythms that can help improve that melatonin secretion at the right time. All right, but another thing of like, well, where does melatonin come from? Right, well, it actually gets synthesized in your body from serotonin. And where does serotonin come from? Guess what? It comes from your gut, right? Most serotonin in your body is produced by your microbiome. So this has me thinking, this is an area where we probably need to look a little bit closer. What's going on in your gut? What's going on with those bacteria? What's going on with your diet? There's a chance, all right, that your microbiome has been off, and therefore you are not producing the serotonin and melatonin that you need to help shift your body into this restful and restorative state at night so you can sleep well. So that's one thing where we start to look into. And then on the meditation piece, I am a huge fan of mindfulness, of meditation, of different types of contemplative practices. But saying that you meditate is sort of like saying that you do cardio, right? Guess what? There's a lot of different types of cardio, all right? And not all of them are created equal. Not all of them are going to have the same effects. So we need to dig in a little bit more. All right, and this is something that I can help you build and work upon. I'm not just going to say, yeah, go meditate. We can actually start developing those skills. I can teach you the specific steps and introduce you to different types of meditation and breath work that could be helpful, all right, to shift your body back into that relaxation response for this to get you back to sleep. So we start digging around a little bit more. Okay, I start asking about some other things. Do you take any supplements? Do you take any medications? Because guess what? All of this stuff is going to start to impact what's going on in your body physiologically. All right, some easy places to start with sleep. Magnesium, a wonderful mineral that I think a lot of people tend to be deficient in, and something that you can easily supplement with at night, can be helpful for sleep. All right. Another thing is that we think about, okay, how can we support the serotonin production? Or let's talk about your gut. And you say, well, you know what, actually I have some digestive issues and, my meals are kind of all over the place. And so we started looking in, okay, how can we support a better microbiome? Now this is super individual and super complex, but the first place I tend to go is to ask, okay, how many vegetables are you eating? Specifically, how many fibrous, colorful veggies are you eating? Because those fibers act as what we call a prebiotic. They help feed the probiotic bacteria in your gut. So if you don't give them enough food, then the bacteria are always going to be a little bit hungry, a little bit languishing. So can we get some fibrous veggies in your gut, and then can we get the colorful ones? Because the colors provide these anthocyanins and polyphenols, these wonderful compounds that provide antioxidants and other sorts of things that are going to be essential for your body. So we're like, let's get some colorful foods in your gut. Maybe let's add in some fermented foods, right? This is where the things like kimchi and other fermented veggies and stuff can be helpful also to replenish your gut microbiome. Right? But we need to take this kind of moment by moment, case by case. Guess what? We can measure things. We can do assessment. This is where I'm like, let's do some blood lab work. So you go out, you get your blood labs done. I can recommend specific tests and companies that can help do these things. Because guess what? You can even measure, right, what's going on in your microbiome by looking at your blood. You can actually look at specific metabolites of the gut bacteria. So you can see how certain populations of bacteria in your gut are doing one thing or maybe not doing one thing. And so let's say you do some blood lab work and you come back and it looks like this. You say, you know what? Vitamin D deficiency. Probably a big thing for so many of us. So I'm like, you know what? Let's start supplementing with vitamin D and let's work on getting outside again during the day. All right, exposing yourself to natural sunlight during the day is one of the most helpful things that you can do. Now, of course, being careful about overexposing yourself to sun and getting a sunburn, but generally that natural light in your eyes, morning and night, so helpful. Because guess what? For most of human history, we lived outside, right? We existed outside, our entire days were outside, our entire bodies were so regulated to what was going on with natural light. And now that we've moved indoors, we've become completely dysregulated from the sun with artificial light and artificial temperatures, that this has really created a conundrum for our body that has also created chaos metabolically in so many ways. So we'll start with some vitamin D supplements, okay? But at the end of the day, you don't want to take a vitamin D supplement willy-nilly. We need to test. We need to test your levels now, we need to supplement, we need to test your levels again, because there can be dangers to having too much supplementation. All right. The other thing that you come back and let's say we look at your microbiome and we say, oh, you know what? All right, there actually does seem to be a little bit of a serotonin deficiency. All right. And then guess what? There's this other pathway. So that can happen and that it seems to be overactive. Right? Specifically, there's an amino acid called tryptophan. Maybe you've heard of it, right? It's in turkey. This is why people say that turkey makes you sleepy, because tryptophan, right, can be turned into serotonin, which can be turned into melatonin. So in a healthy body, all right, your body can take this amino acid and can convert it into these super important chemicals that are necessary for that rest, relaxation, and recovery. However, guess what? There is another pathway. Right? Tryptophan can be taken away from the serotonin and pushed down this other pathway to produce dopamine and these other compounds. Right? Sometimes this is called the tryptophan steal. And why does this happen? This happens because of stress. Right? This happens because of circadian dysregulation. Sometimes it happens after you have some sort of, illness, especially foodborne illnesses, things that have, maybe altered your gut microbiome, have then shifted you out of the ability to, again, synthesize serotonin and melatonin naturally in your gut. And so this is something that we can begin to measure and begin to look at. And so we've got you sort of changing up your supplements, changing up your diet a little bit. But guess what? Changing your diet, it isn't easy, because you tell me, you know what, Jeff, I don't really like vegetables, all right? Yeah, I'll eat a carrot every now and then, but there's so many veggies that I actually don't really enjoy, all right? Because guess what? Changing your diet isn't easy. It doesn't happen in a vacuum, because you also tell me, you know what, my family doesn't eat this and my partner doesn't eat that. So guess what? We're gonna work on that. I'm not gonna ask you to change one thing without considering the multiplicity of contexts and factors that go into that. And so I ask you, all right, well, where can we start? Again, what's maybe one way you could incorporate one new colorful vegetable into your diet during the day? You know, do you like broccoli? Do you like asparagus? You're like, not bad. Okay, how about we prepare it in a certain way? Is that something you can get on board with? Is that something your family can get on board with? You know, and so we work on that, all right? And now we come back, we see how things are going. Any changes with your sleep, right? Guess what? We've changed diet, we've changed supplementation. However, everything is related, right? You start supplementing with vitamin D, guess what? That can actually throw off your B vitamins. So we need to look at those things as well. So maybe we need to throw a B complex vitamin into the mix here, right? Which is going to impact your microbiome, which is also being impacted by the food that you're eating. Now again, like, why might you not have enough of these vitamins? Because guess what? Our food is not as nutritious now as it used to be. Right? And you can thank this concentrated monocropping and factory farming. You can thank our depleted soils, all right, for the fact that there's just not as many micronutrients, not as many vitamins and minerals making its way into our food. And so therefore, some sort of strategic supplementation can be extremely helpful, right? Not as the forever solution, but in these short-term ways to help get your body back into balance. Right? And this is also true with this other issue. Why are you vitamin D deficient? Why are you having issues sleeping? Well, again, we spend so much of our times indoor, we don't get enough natural sunlight. So let's say we work on all of these things and you say, you know what, yeah, Jeff, it's helped. My sleep has improved, you know, but it's still not perfect, because at the end of the day, I still find it really hard to turn off my work brain. Right? I still find it really hard to shift from work mode into rest mode, and the gears keep spinning over and over. So guess what? We need to go investigate psychologically what's going on. Why are you so driven to work so hard, right? Is there some workaholism that's happening here? And so we can investigate that together. And I ask you, you know, where does that come from? Where does this strive and drive mindset originate? And you tell me, well, you know, for my parents, the only thing that ever really mattered was, you know, their career success. And so I learned at a young age that if I wasn't successful, then I didn't really have a whole lot of value. And so we need to address this root cause here, right? This feeling of not being worthy enough if you aren't being hyper productive in your job. Because guess what? That's driving you to work, work, work. And that's driving that little part in your mind to go, go, go all night. Because it's afraid that if it doesn't go, 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 right, you're all of a sudden going to become unworthy, unlovable. You're going to be lost for all of these things that are really vital and important for you. So that mindset is actually trying to help keep you safe, but at the same time, it's ruining your sleep. So we need to investigate the psychology together with the biology, together with your entire environment of what are you doing, all right, to help either improve or distangle all of your sleep. All right, so these are so many of the factors that come into play when we start working together. And this is this iterative process where we check in every single week. We talk about what worked, we talk about what didn't work. We make some adjustments. We go a little bit here, we go a little bit there. It's this wonderful, natural, organic unfolding of an interaction that is specifically designed to help you get to a better place with your mind and with your body, right? Taking care of your physical and your mental health, helping you improve and be at your best. That is exactly what I do together in our coaching. So, hopefully this gives you a little bit better idea of kind of what my coaching is all about when I say that I'm a holistic, integrative, mind-body, somatic coach, and you're like, I don't know what the hell that is. All right, now you can think about it in this way of like, oh yeah, Jeff, right? He deals with the mental, the emotional, the physical, and even the spiritual parts of becoming well. So until next time, Jeff Siegel here. I want you just to breathe, smile, and remember that you are already whole and complete.